to what he said, or you have questions. So Abiodun, I've started recording. So yeah, let's go.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, guys. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are okay. So yeah, I will be here today and I'll be talking about how to develop product thinking. My name is Abiodun Ayomide. I am a product development specialist at Digi Mobility Limited. So I have put together this little presentation for this topic just to go over my view of product thinking, how to develop it, tools to help in developing this product thinking. So we're going to have some touch points, and that's just basically what we're going to be discussing today and everything that is being broken down in this whole presentation. So what is product thinking? Why is it so important? Product thinking heuristics, product thinking tools, and Q&As, right? So let's get in, let's kick in. So what is product thinking? Product thinking is the journey from the user's problem space to the business's solution space, or to explore the different ways in which different functionalities can be combined to solve the same problem. Now, ultimately, the journey's goal is to bridge the gap between users and businesses. Now, everybody's always. I would assume you guys are all familiar with, the product triangle, right? So the product triangle is, I think, when you want to come into product management, if you're an existing product manager, rather, you at some point in time you'd have just encountered this triangle where they tell you the product is between the users, the technology, and business, right? So the same thing applies for being a product manager as well. Now, where product thinking comes into this triangle is between the user and the business, right? So product thinking is trying to take a particular problem, right, and be in line with what the business goals are and create that solution, right? So I have some people tell me, I have some people that I'll speak to in product and higher ups, and we'll have conversations, and those people will tell me that in product thinking, product thinking should function in the absence of technology. Now, what that means is that whatever the problem is, right, think about the solution. Don't forget about the technology involved. I have this one person that always tells me that anything you think of can be built. Any single thing you think of can be built. It might not be able to be built by you, right, or anybody on your team, but somebody will be able to build it, right? Somebody would have the expertise to build it. So that is where product thinking comes in. Just think about the problem and think about the solution to the problem, right? Forget the technology, forget the coding, everything involved, and just go at it, right? So why is it so important? I was supposed to spend 10 minutes on that, but I think I'll just move ahead. So why is it so important? Okay, so product thinking is central to developing a product because it prevents us from building things that nobody wants, right? Product thinking. Oh, I'm sorry, somebody's complaining about my audio. Can you guys hear
Yes,
me?
yes,
Please let
yes.
me know if you can.
Two people have complained of your audio. Maybe you should speak up. I don't know how
Yeah,
loud.
please let me know how if this is better. Please let me know. There's people that are
Um,
having issues with my
maybe
speaker.
last is. Can you guys hear better now?
Can you guys hear me better now? Please, you can just text. All right. That's
Yeah.
says yes. All right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. So I did the thing we do in meetings where when they ask you to do something to your audio, you do absolutely nothing but just yell, and then it gets solved. So back to why it's important. So product thinking, like I said earlier, is central to developing a product because it prevents us from building things that nobody wants, right? Uh, the point of product thinking is to make sure we're focusing on creating a product market fit. Now, this is very, very important in product thinking because at the end of the day, you're creating a product, no matter who you are, where you're from, what product it is, you're creating a product for people to use, right? So it's very important that you capture the product market fit. Now, you have to be very, very, very sure that you capture the product market fit and make not just a collection of features, of nice features, right? And I personally believe that one of the most common reasons that people or products fail, is a lack of the understanding of the product market fit, right? Failing to address the needs that the consumers or the users, in any case, need is always that superior factor to why products fail. Now you can say you might have your own school of thought, say, oh, it might be financing, it might be maybe the product is not done well, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you would, if you can, if you have that discussion with somebody that is of like mind and you guys are just talking, at the end of the day, you find out that what the root of this thing is actually still the product market fit. Now, I wouldn't go so much into detail as to why, with many, many examples, but I'll just give this particular example now. So take a situation where users need X, but the company decides to ship Y instead. Now, there could be a lot of reasons why the company has shipped Y, but like I said earlier, the fundamental is just not understanding the market fit and not just being able to satisfy it, right? Because the problem space is coming from the market and the solution space is coming from the product. So to reduce that gap, we're trying to, make sure that product fits into that market, right? And at the end of the day, some people are not just always able to do this. It might be, products being overly complex or product not just addressing the issues or the problems of the users that they set out to address, right? So there could be other reasons, but they ideally do boil down to product market fit, and that's where tools like the 5 Ys and 5 Ws rather and 1H comes in, which is a tool I will discuss later on as we move on, right? So product thinking heuristics. Now, the goal here of what product thinking heuristics are like, they are like mental shortcuts, right? To enable people to solve problems and make product decisions more quickly and more efficiently, right? So they're just a group of things you need to ask yourself and solve first before going ahead to build or moving ahead with whatever it is that you have decided to build. Now, there are 3 rules, right? Sorry, there are 3 rules, and there are more than 3, right? But speaking about this topic, I'm going to actually be streamlining it to where it applies to Nigeria, right? Because that's where we all are, and they are applicable outside Nigeria, but it's just much more relatable when you can hear problems and see similar things you face, every day, and moving up and down the whole product space. Now, 3 rules. The first one is fall in love with the problems, not the solution. Now, here you would have so many cases where people are trying to build products. Okay, so we want to build a product that okay, let's just take out all the existing products in the market, right? And just assume that none of them exist. So we want to build a product that people can get their food from wherever it is that they are, right? And we're trying to get it to them. And somebody says, oh, you know what? Let's take a drone to pick up the food. There are high-speed drones, and let's make sure that these drones drop the food. These are, this is an outrageous example, but yeah, these are things that where you are much more involved in the solution and not understanding the problem. You're not loving the problem. You're just all about solutions, right? You're just all about, I want to do this, to make this, to make this. Is that necessary? Do you think you need to go through that route to make sure that this problem is solved, right? So it just always it's always just better to understand the problem, right? You can always, it always helps you eliminate your inventor bias, right? Uh, you guys know that your technology team is the best in Africa, best in the world, or whatever it is, and you guys go ahead to just overcomplicate your solution just because you are already imagining the solution and not understanding the problem, right? These are examples, right? So always start with the problems, right? Always answer questions like, what is the problem? Who is facing the problem? Why are they facing these problems, right? Would these problems lead you to a particular market? Yeah. Would these personas lead you to a particular niche of market, right? You're solving a problem and then you think everybody has that problem because you're so in love with the solution that you're sending out this, you are making this, you're building this, you're building APIs, you're doing so many other things that you're not even sure that okay, it's everybody that has this problem, or you're not even clear on it, right? So there is a danger to loving solutions and not the problems, right? So this is the first rule. I'll go ahead to move to the second rule now. The second rule is think in products and not in features. So excuse me. So here, what this means really is what's when you have identified your problems, right? Okay, so there is a danger to wanting to. There's a what's that thing called? I think it's called a super absent syndrome or something like that. Yeah. So what that does to you is that when you're trying to create a product to solve a problem, you end up minimizing that problem just because you feel you can add another problem to that problem to make a product, right? What that means now is that you need to, you're always trying to make features, right, of a bigger product rather than making products. I'm sorry that I'm casting. I'm in a cab and stuff is happening. So let me give you an example. Jumia, that is a good example. I tried not to mention names, but that's just a good example. Jumia have Jumia Foods, right? And it was very easy to just, it's very easy for them to just make sure that the Jumia Foods, because I know Gokada does something similar, the Jumia Foods and any other service that Jumia offers is all in one app. It's very, very easy, very extremely easy for them to do, right? But then the initiative there is to make it a separate product, right? Where they're solving the problem of food and package transformation and transportation from one place to another, and they are not thinking of it as a feature, right? So that is the second rule. The second rule is to make sure that you're thinking of the product, right? You're thinking of the product as a whole. This product that I'm about to create, is it going to solve this problem end to end, right? Not in a certain way where I'm creating a product and it solves the problem to a specific point, because I've seen that before. And then after the specific point, I have no control over it. Unfortunately, I can't give that example, but after that specific point, I can't control anything about it, or it's another person's problem, right? So you have to think about it in that sense, right? Because the danger of thinking in features is that you don't think the whole thing through. You're not thinking the whole problem through. If you think in features, by the time you want to do this thing, it stops to this point just because you think that's what the problem encompasses. And then when you start to build, you find out that, oh, this is more deeply rooted, or this problem is bigger than it seems to be, right? So that is another rule, and that is another danger in product thinking. Now, the third rule is to have your product heuristics before writing your first line of code. Yes, I had to use the straight picture because I tried to cancel it out, but I thought people wouldn't know who was there. But yeah, you need to think before you code, right? I have worked with with a product where they had almost 30 people in their engineering team, and then all like the rest of the team, they were having one or two or three people, and then they had like 30, and they were just really eager to start working and start writing and start. And then I'm like, okay, have you people thought this through? What solutions are you people trying to bring out? Are you solving these problems end to end? Have you thought it through? Have you have we been able to look at it and say, okay, I'm certain that what we are building or what we're about to build is going to solve these problems, right? And it's I wasn't surprised. It turned out that they hadn't thought about it that way. They hadn't thought it through. They were just really eager to build. They were just eager to build. And sometimes this is not always a problem of maybe the product manager, sometimes the engineering team, sometimes it's the CEOs, the MDs, the people at C levels, right? They are just always very eager to build, eager to build. Let's get to work. Let's start doing this. And when you start building and when you start writing code, and along the line, you start to see loopholes, right? Because you've not done the proper thing, you've not gotten through these processes, you've not eliminated these problems, you've not thought them through, right? And as a product manager, that is kind of where you need to shine, right? Where we're trying to build a product, right? We're trying to build so and so, but ready to build. If you come in maybe mid build or you're with them from the initial stage of building, your job part of your job is to be able to part of your job is to be able to think it through, right? Part of your job is to be able to look back at the solution you're providing, right? Before you start writing code, before anybody starts to, because engineers are always eager for some reason, I don't know why, but they are always eager to do a lot of things. They're always eager to write. They're always eager to, to get going. But you have to describe it. You have to describe your solution. You have to describe your product. You have to understand the end to end. You have to know that okay, these loopholes. That if these loopholes are left behind, right? If we do have loopholes after doing this product thinking, after going through the problems, after understanding them, after trying to map them out and stuff, like, even if we do have these loopholes, they are things I have made account for moving forward, right? And sometimes some of these things are not in your control, right? Sometimes, but especially if you come mid build, right, where the employer is a product manager and the product has already started, it's on its way, or they have an MVP, or they are close to, you're just in the middle, and then you come in and you're seeing all these things.
Hello, Abiodun, are you still there? Can you guys hear him? Hello.
I can't hear him too.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's network. Let's just give him a few seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
His mic is on mute.
Oh, okay. He mentioned earlier that he was on transit. That's why he was a bit distracted. He'll join soon. So if you have any questions, you can just get them ready or put them in the chat. Or if you have contributions to the topic, you can also get them ready or put them in the chat. I think he's back. Abiodun, are you back?
Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, Glue doesn't want me to be great. But yeah, so I was talking about product thinking too, right? And I chose three tools and the problems and for the solution space. So eventually I decided to take out the solution space because relating it to what we currently have and our environment around us, we are still sort of like in a development stage. We're still like in a developing market. We're still trying to do so many things. We're still trying to, and we're doing so great at that. We are, and we're still trying to just do so much more. So I feel like from what I know about product thinking and from what I have been able to gain as a product manager, people develop different solution techniques, right? So we have a common enemy, and the common enemy is the problem, right? But then the solution is much more free spirited, right? It's much more to each its own, right? So that was why I decided to take that out because the danger of that is making it look like the solution spaces are limited or okay, these are the only three things that can come from a solution space. So that is the reason why I took that out. So moving forward, the first problem two is the 5 Ws and the 1H. I mentioned it earlier, and the 5 Ws are something I think a lot of people are familiar with, what, who, why, where, and when. And then now we have the 1H, which is how, right? So these two would always, especially the 5 Ws, they would always help you double back to the problem. Anytime, I believe, I mean, when I was coming into programming, this was one of the things I first learned. And one of kind of things that kind of just always made me intrigued in development of products and development of solutions. And it's just always helps you double back to your problem, to your solutions rather. Always helps you double back. So you have a problem, you're trying to create a solution, right? All you just have to ask is the 5 Ys and 5 Ws rather, right? Some people ask why 5 times, but that just helps you. That just, in my experience, that just helps you narrow down one angle of what you are looking for, right? So, for what now, for example, what is the problem? You're trying to identify the problem. Who is involved? Now, who is involved are the different personas involved in what currently exists. So, okay, so I'll use the transportation of food as an example again, where previously before the Jumias and Gokadas and the Globals and people that just deliver food and stuff like that. Sorry that this is my more frequent example. I've been ordering a lot of food lately. So yeah, so previously what we would have is people sending other people because you're too busy to order your own food. So people sending other people to go and order their foods to go and order, you take, buy this for me, buy this for me, buy this for me, buy this for me. Now these are the people involved. We have people that's making the person making the order, person going to go and get the food, and person that is excuse me, that is selling the food as well. So a lot of errors occur in these processes, right? And these are the people involved. These are the people that you are trying to alleviate the problems that they currently have in this whole chain of action, right? So, why is the problem important, right? So, this is very similar to understanding pain points, right? So, you have a problem you're trying to solve. You need to understand why this problem is important to this person, right? Why is it that they can't choose this other option, or what is the current option, and why is it so important that we make this problem simpler or more seamless or shorten it, right? Where does the problem occur, right? So using the food example again, I'm sorry I am, but using the food example again, I just think it's very simple. Like I said earlier, you have people in the offices that are sending people to go and buy food from other places, right? So where does the problem occur in that chain, right? In that line of action? Sometimes the person that you're sending to go and buy food forget what you said you should buy, and they buy rubbish for you, and you come back and you have so in that certain scenario, in that particular scenario, that is where the problem occurs, right? So this might be a recurring problem, but it depends on the problem that you're trying to solve. So if that is the problem, you can isolate the problem. So you see that each one of these, because I mean, in as much as I would love to go over all of this, I don't know if I would have the time to, but when I'll go over when and how, then I'll just move on from this. So when does the problem occur? When did the problem begin? Where is the origin of this problem? Right? We're trying to create a solution. We need to understand when this problem starts, right? The food example again, somebody is sending somebody to buy food, right? The problem does not occur when the person is in need of what they want to eat. No, that's not where the problem occurs. The problem does not occur when they're trying to give the person their money and their order, their food, what they want, right? That's not when it occurs. The problem occurs when that person that they are sending takes down their order, whatever it is that they requested for, they want to eat, right? That is when the problem occurs, right? And how could this problem be an opportunity? Yes. So how is now the 5Ws kind of help you understand. So just imagine the 5Ws as a standstill point and the how as a move, right? In the sense that the 5Ws, you're standing on one spot, you're trying to figure out the problems, and the how is just how we progress. Okay, how is moving forward, right? So how could this problem be an opportunity, right? How could solving the problem for these people that they're not happy with how efficient their food ordering system is? How could this problem be an opportunity? Where does the opportunity lie here? And then lo and behold, you have Jumia Foods and Avocados and other services like that, right? So the 5Ws and the 1H is a tool to for sure help you identify your problem and then identify how you want to move forward with that problem. It helps you understand it, identify it, and identify how you want to move forward with that problem, right? In as much as I would love to go over them, this is quite lengthy, but the first example just kind of gives you an understanding of what the rest is trying to say, right? So the problem to the second one is the mom test. Now, the mom test, let me kind of try and explain what the mom test is. The mom test is a simple set of rules for crafting good questions that even your mom can't lie about. Right? So, I mean, we would say all our moms are honest, right? So, yeah, so the mom test is kind of like after identifying your problems, you are trying to create a solution, right? Your product thinking, you're trying to come up with something. How can you validate what you're thinking about? How can you this idea? How can I craft a sort of way to validate these things? And one thing I personally believe in products is when you're creating products, whether B2C or B2B or B2 anybody, if you want to understand the pain points, if you want to validate what you're trying to create, you still have to talk to the users. You always have to talk to users. You always have to be, you always have to be in connection with the users, right? Because those are the people with problems, right? So the mom test is framing your questions in such a way that it kind of helps you understand if this solution I'm trying to create is what these people need. Now, let me give you an example. how would I say? Okay, so now imagine you're creating a gym app, a application for buff guys, gym buddies, stuff like that, right? And you're trying to validate your ideas through surveys, for example. And then you go, when do you go to gym? In the morning, in the afternoon, or in the night? Now, asking when do you go to the gym, this is where the mom test comes in. It conditions the mind of the person filling the survey. It conditions the mind, and it kind of creates a bias. It conditions their mind. Like, even me now, for example, I'll be very honest with you guys. I haven't been to the gym in what's looking like a year plus now. And if you come to me with a questionnaire asking me, when do you go to the gym? I will tell you I go to the gym in the morning, because I mean, when I used to go at school in the morning, and I used to lie, but let's move on from that. That's not what we're talking about. So yeah, it already conditions your mind. You're already giving a response that is not even totally true, because the product does not even really apply to you. The solution doesn't really apply to you because you don't even go to the gym. Right? So framing that question in a better way would be, do you go to the gym regularly? Now, what this does is gives you a clearer picture. Okay, this person does not go to the gym, right? So what this does for us is, now this person doesn't go to the gym. We've established that, but we're going to take this person's view, right? But this person does not go to the gym, so this product is ideally not for this person, right? And at the end of the day, it just helps you craft your solution in such a way that you know that, okay, these are the people that we targeted with this solution. These are the people that we are looking to get with these solutions. And with what we have, we're confident that what we've built would attend to these people's needs and problems. Right? So it's the same thing with maybe I should use the food transportation example, because that's what I've been using since. So now imagine before the juniors and the congas and everything, you're trying to build a product to do exactly just that. And you're carrying out your service, you're questioning your users, you're doing user interviews and stuff like that. And you ask the person, how would you like to receive your meals? With a bike and a rider, or in a car and a driver, stuff like that. And then what that does to somebody that does not even take food to, or does not even buy food outside his house because he takes food to work, or he doesn't even eat at work, is that person gives you an answer that is not useful to you. Because this is not really that person's problem. The person doesn't go through this thing you're trying to solve. It does not really concern him, right? But he's helping you out. He's feeling it out. And what you're having information that is not relevant or exactly valid. Yeah, so the mom test helps you foolproof your questions, helps you foolproof your validations, right? Helps you sieve out information that you don't even need to be in the pool in the first place, right? So that's the second problem too. Now, the third problem too is jobs to be done using the milkshake theory. Now, what this does it's kind of very similar to when I spoke about earlier, but what this does is that it helps you understand. Again, this is more about understanding it, right? It helps you understand the solutions that you're trying to craft, right? So this helps you identify your problems and how to move forward, right? You're moving forward, but you're validating what you're trying to create. And then Sorry, excuse me. And then for this, you're understanding what needs to be in your solution. You're understanding what your solution needs to cut off, right? And the idea is really simple. It's just trying to understand the solution space. I start with questions that go, what jobs arise in people's lives that this product could solve? Right? Okay, so what jobs already carry out these things, right? That this product could solve for those jobs. Now, I'll stick with my example, right? So the aim here is to just make the jobs easier. Is to make it cut out all the unnecessaries, the I would say strenuous parts of what we would normally do without this your product, without this your idea, without this your solution, right? And for example, now with the examples I was giving earlier with the food transportation, somebody is taking food from one person who is making the order to one person who is serving and dishing the food, and then it's coming back, right? So that's now when you are thinking with this problem too, you need to understand that nothing is minute. No job is minute. No stress, will I say, is minute. Now, why I say that is because, for example, now the person that in this scenario that we're sending to buy this food, this person's job is not to come and buy food, right? The person probably has another job, right? So the person is leaving where they are, going to another place to get it done, then coming back to deliver what might not even be correct, right? So thinking through your solutions, you might think, oh, okay, you know what, we don't need this because this problem is not really this is what's the person just coming and going and coming back, and I mean that's just it, right? But you need to think about it in a much, much larger way, right? And in the sense that, okay, I have 5 minutes left. All right, thank you. In the sense that, what is this person's, how can we cut this person's stress, this person's problems, what this person is going through, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Multiply that back and forth by one person can send, 10 people can send one person this message, right? It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're having 10 people in one maybe office space, and there are 7 office spaces, and you have one person for each of these levels, first, second to 7th floor, one person for each of these floors, right? And they're taking 10 orders each. That is 70 orders, right? So you can't think of what you're trying to create and what you're trying to eliminate. You can never think of anything being too small or too minute or too, it's not necessary, because at the end of the day, it doesn't help you get the full picture of what you're trying to create, right? So, that is what the JTBD problem 2 is, right? And I said at the beginning of when I was sharing this, that there are solution tools or solution space tools, but they seem limiting in the market that is not developed, right? They seem limiting in the market that I would say is still trying to expand and do a lot of things and create a lot more magic and just make much more stuff work, right? But then solution tools include things like getting better at constructing hypothesis statements, right? So constructing your hypothesis in a way where you're not saying you know the answer, right? You have an idea and you have your assumptions, but then your assumptions and your hypothesis must be within your idea, right? That is it, and that is one solution too. Another solution too is to get creative with your problem solving. Now, get creative with your problem solving. This is where what I was saying comes in about not being developed yet. Get creative with your problem solving, right? You might have to look at it in a much more creative way when you're trying to solve these problems, but because of how limiting it can be over in Nigeria here now, for example, you might not be able to to reach out far and reach out wide with your creativities and your imagination. So that is another limitation, but that is a solution too. And the third one is focusing. You have to start focusing on the outcome and not the outputs.
If you're sharing your screen, I don't think we can see the last thing.
No, 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 no. I'm not sharing my screen. I said it. That's why I said I did.
On this screen. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I said. I said I took it out, right? Because I just wanted to share it just in case people were wondering what the solution tools are. Because I already mentioned that they are solution tools, right? So, I lost my line of thoughts, but yeah, focusing on the outcomes and not the outputs. That's the last solution too. So as a product thinker or a product manager, you should start focusing on the outcome rather than the output, the value that you're generating, yeah, versus the estimation of your development efforts. These are things you have to prioritize and scale, right? So I think I'll just put a full stop to that pen because I had 5 minutes left and it's 7:44. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. So now we're going to have the what's it called, contribution and Q&As
Yeah.
and whatnot.
So the slide before this one, is it the milkshake theory slide?
Yeah, the milkshake theory.
That's the last slide.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Abiodun. Thank you guys for listening. So this session, that's the remaining 15 minutes, we'll just basically maybe ask questions or share your contributions, or if there was something that you were not clear about. He was a bit distracted, so if there's something that he mentioned that you're not clear about, you can just raise your hands or call you and you share. So basically, this is like the interactive part of this session where you ask your questions and you send in your contributions as well. He would also share the slides with us after the event. But yeah, if you have a question or if you have a contribution, you can just raise your hand and you go. Does anyone have a question? Does anyone have a contribution to this? David, yeah, Ijala.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, hi, Abiodun. So I just wanted to know, like, in product teams, there's this rush when it comes to ideation and actually having time to think over all of these processes. Like, in your own experience, have you been able to manage deadlines or manage situations where your C executives are like, you know what, we need to get this out in 3 weeks, we need to get designs out in 2 weeks, and there's really not much time to put all of this into consideration, or talk less of applying all of this. So like, how have you been able to pull through with product thinking?
All
We
right.
have like reasonable deadlines.
Right. Okay. So thanks for the question. When I was speaking, I said something about coming into products, right, while in mid stages, right? And one of the things I said is that product thinking sometimes would help you, yes, understand what is happening, create your solutions, and do all those stuff, right? But then at the same time, the idea for product thinking is to also just be able to identify them moving forward. Like, okay, well, at the back, we have these issues, right? So now in the events where there are deadlines and short deadlines, and we're all product managers, so we all know how we maneuver over these things. But then I think what I would say to that is that product thinking just helps you make sure that whatever it is that's going to cause like problems, and whatever is going to make a bigger mess. Let me use that, right? Moving forward are things that you would already be able to identify, right? So you might not be able to meet up to your deadlines. You might be able to meet up to your deadlines, but at the end of the day, you know what exactly is happening. Right? I just hope that answers your question.
Yes, that helps. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any other question or contribution to what has been shared today? Or do you need like an overview of what it is in case you didn't really get what's going on? Okay, so Bolatito, go ahead.
Hi. Um, Thank you very much, Abiodun. Your presentation was really nice. So there was something you mentioned in the beginning of in the early stages about where you should anything you can think of can be built, maybe not by your team but by somebody else,
Yeah,
and you shouldn't really focus on the technical aspects at that period. Just really, think about your solutions, right? Come up with as many as you can and all of that.
yeah,
That's something I have. I'm not a product manager, but that's something I have fallen victim to multiple times where I come up with ideas, but like I'm immediately thinking of, oh, we need these kinds of permissions. The users will not accept these kinds of permissions, etc. like that. So like at what point do you think is ideal to now start thinking about those technical aspects of your product?
okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so um when I spoke about thinking about your solutions without regards for the technology and stuff like that. Now, what this does, or what I was trying to say there, what that works with is that you need to just identify the solution, right? Now, we are all, you might not be a product manager, but you work with products, you work in this whole space, and you would know that we are very, very, very. Let me say we think outside the box a lot. Let me use that. Don't let me use any English, right? So one way might not work for how you want to create the product, right? But then another way will always work, right? Or there would always be another way because you have your solution in mind. Now, this does not mean that how you planned it out is how it will eventually be, right? But then, you might be able to just make a couple of changes here, make a couple of changes there, but then you know what your solution looks like, right? With the examples I've been giving so far, right? I spoke about creating a solution where drones will drop your food from the air, right? Now, that is not the ideal solution to that problem. But you understand that what you want to create, just make sure that people who want to order food can order food from the comfort of where they are, and the food will just come and meet them where they are, right? Where they have done the transactions already. So all they just need to do is just pick up their food from wherever it's delivering their food, right? So their orders are taken down, they are noted, they are stuff like that, and everything is just in somewhere and is taken down. And all you have to is just show up, take your food, and go back inside, right? So with that example, right, that's what I was trying to say, where you have solution to your problem, right? So thinking about using drones might not be ideal, but then you find out that okay, you can use bike pilots and bike riders, and you can deliver your food, right? So I hope that explains and so answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Does any other person have a question or a contribution, at least to what we've heard today? Oh, David again. Okay.
Yes. So sorry.
It's fine.
About the multiple questions, sure.
No,
So
fine.
yeah, like there's these scenarios where like you're thinking about this product and then you do research. At the point when the idea came to you, you're excited about it, and you thought that this is something that could work. Especially when like the person that maybe it's a contract and the person you're working for is like this solution has worked in other emerging markets. we think to work in Nigeria. And based on that hypothesis, you get all riled up and excited about the fact that yes, you're about to build the next Google for something, or the next Facebook for something. But then you go deeper and you find out that these products cannot work. Maybe you now like assess the when, and you find out that right now people don't really care about this. People don't mind for this product. And maybe if you do go deeper, you find out that what they would care for is this, and it already exists. And we would just be like competing for market share if we were to launch a product, and it does not make sense, according to the goals. You're trying to be like the Google, the monolith for all of this. Like, how would you communicate your findings to like the team? Like sound like dismissive. How would you convince them that this isn't a good idea?
Okay, so how I would go about that is I can lie, right? Humans can lie, you can lie, anybody can lie. But when you put numbers in front of people, right, and they see, right, they see, okay, these numbers are not looking, they're not looking positive, or they're not looking like we should go ahead with these things, right? So I work with someone that is eager to build a solution that does not exist, right? So I kind of have like that experience that you're talking about. I've experienced it like, similarly. And I was talking about products trying to build products that do not exist, or products that right? You say yourself, that these things can't work, or these things are not ideal, or we're just not even yet in that space. Now you tell the persons, or you tell these people, and then they're like, oh no, they do this. At the end of the day, what you just have to do, or what I would advise to do, is try and validate it. That's the point of validation, right? Just even if you can't validate it, if there is already pre-existing data on what you are trying to do, maybe somebody has tried to adapt it, or somebody has tried to, work on it, or you can just find data that supports that, oh, this thing cannot work out, or this thing cannot work, right? Then, just go ahead and present that, or, validate that, do whatever validations you want to do, and just your findings, present that as well, right? So at that point in time, I personally believe you've done your best as a product manager to, let these people know that these things cannot work out, or the way you want this thing to go, it cannot go there, or it cannot go that way, that kind of thing, right? So I think that's the way I would advise to go about it. Although some people will still be adamant and still tell you to go ahead, but I think as a product manager, that is really as far as you can go, right? So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right.
All right, we have just 4 minutes remaining. I don't know if anyone has a question or a contribution, but Abiodun, do you have I want to say any last words, but then I want to say you shall not have last words in Jesus' name. But anyways, do you have maybe because it's we just have 4 minutes left. If you have something to close, so we can end the session for today. Also, I don't know if you'd be kind enough to send the slides to the Learning Resource channel.
Yeah, sure.
Just thinking that it's the slides from today's event, so people can have access to the slides, because there are a lot of things that I myself saw there that I wanted to just quickly note, but you moved on to the next one. So I would also need slides. So yeah, just something to just end today's session so we can close. Yeah, if you don't have, that's fine. You can just...
I have. I just feel like I
right.
need everybody to understand that, and I just need everybody to know and understand that, especially if you're in Nigeria, right, or in Africa as a whole, right, that the market is still huge. The market is still wild. There's still a lot of things we can do, and there's still a lot of terrains that we need to get into, right? And I just feel like if you have solutions, or you have you have products or ideas that you think will solve problems, right? I think you should always just go ahead with trying to build them. Go ahead with trying to validate them. The least you can do is validate them, right? I mean, building might be a heckle, or might be stressful, or looking for funding, but always try and validate them at least, because there is no like tight corner, right, in the market for Nigeria and Africa especially. I mean, you might be fighting for market share, but at the end of the day, if your solution solves problems, your value propositions are tight, and it's just really applicable, it would always work out, right? It would always work out. And that's just like the last thing I have to say about it. So just think about products, think about solutions, think about everything, and just go ahead and build. Yeah. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. So special thanks to Abiodun you today, because he still made it to the session even though he was literally on the road for a large part of the session. So if you notice, there were some breaks in between and one or two distractions here and there. Sorry about that. He was actually on transit, but he still tried to deliver. Your slides are beautiful as well. So thank you guys for showing up today. Yeah, that's about it. Let me stop recording now. So yeah, someone asked for the recording. So as far as you are in this meeting and your email was sent in the event, when the recording is ready, it will be inside the event. So in about 30 minutes to 1 hour, just go back to this event on your calendar, click on it, open it, you'll see the recording there. So the people who would need the recording are people who did not register in quotes for this event. But if your email was sent using that link and you use the link to join this meeting, at the end of this meeting and when the recording is ready, it will be inside the event. Yes, so we do not need to send it to you. It would be inside the event or your calendar anytime you want to listen. You don't even need to download it. Just go to the event today, click on it and watch right from your calendar. So yeah, it's 8 o'clock. Thank you again for joining. Good night, guys. Stop recording.